do you ever feel less energetic than you used to feel? Or maybe you're somebody who finds it hard to lose some weight. Some actually blame all of those things on what's called age-related slowing metabolism. But a fix can come from outside the body.
Joining us to dispel metabolism myths is a metabolic research scientist and creator of the Health Code meal, Dr. Benjamin Bikman. Good morning to you. Thanks for being here. Let's talk about why you think some people experience what is sometimes called a slowing metabolism. Is that accurate?
Right. Yeah, it's a common idea that as we age, metabolism slows, and that would then accelerate weight gain. Well, we are gaining weight, and yet metabolism stays pretty flat from around the age of about 20 to about 60. So most of our adulthood, it's a flat line, and only in our 60s does the metabolic rate start to slow. And of course, that would amplify weight gain even more.
So what are some of the foods that we could be eating to boost our metabolism?
Right. Yeah. So the idea that there are foods that can kind of light up the metabolic rate is false. It's really more a matter of don't put in foods that are going to slow things down. We want to focus on foods that keep the metabolic rate running well. And this would include things like meat and low starch vegetables like leafy greens, and also low sugar fruits like berries. And as diverse as these foods are, what they have in common is similar effects with regards to nutrient sensitive hormones in the body.
Okay, you bring up hormones. That's interesting to me because people talk a lot about how hormones will influence your metabolism and all kinds of other things going on in your body.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we always focus on things like exercise when we want to talk about altering metabolic rate. And one of the focuses for my area of research is exploring how hormones also alter this. And there are two in particular that end up working against us because of how we eat and how we live. And that is adrenaline and insulin. Both of these kind of humble hormones have very contrasting effects on metabolic rate. Whereas adrenaline will increase metabolic rate, as people might expect, insulin will suppress metabolic rate. And so it's a matter of changing the way we eat to take these hormones and have them help working for us.
So what about the frequency of meals? Do they influence our metabolism?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, and that touches on adrenaline. So when we are eating too frequently, we are suppressing adrenaline. And again, adrenaline has a metabolic boosting effect. And so if we can start engaging in fasting from time to time, and I mean caloric or food fasts where we can drink water, but we're not putting nutrients in the bloodstream, that helps adrenaline come up. And so it's a little paradoxical, but when we fast, metabolic rate will climb. But at the same time, because we eat so frequently and we eat so many starchy, sugary, blood sugar spiking foods, insulin is constantly elevated.
Right.
And so insulin suppressing the metabolic rate at the same time.
It's interesting that you say that because we talk about this all the time, but I do intermittent fasting, and so many people criticize me for it, and I'll get a lot of messages saying, you should not encourage people to do that. You should not do that because that will put you in starvation mode, and it's really bad for you. And then you start to, go through your muscles and not your fat, but all kinds of things. There's all these theories out there that we've always thought was true. Theories like breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You should eat breakfast. You should eat that cereal every morning, right? Those kinds of things, and that goes against what the reality is for what our body really needs.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and you brought up a lot of very relevant topics. Yeah, there is an enormous gulf between fasting and starvation. And essentially, as long as someone has enough fat to continue to burn, that's a fast. It doesn't enter into the realm of starvation where you're cutting your muscle or your bone mass until you run out of fat tissue. So that's not something most of us are going to get to anytime soon. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we just have a culture that is focused on starchy, sugary foods. Basically, if the carbohydrate comes in a bag or a box with a barcode, if it's crackers or cereal or chips, then you know that is something that is going to both turn down adrenaline, slowing metabolic rate, and spiking insulin, once again, slowing metabolic rate.
So you've outlined what we should take out of the shopping cart. So you're the creator of what's called the Health Code Complete Meal. What's that meal entail?
Right. Yeah. So it was built on a foundation of the two macronutrients that have the least effect on insulin. And so the macronutrients in the human diet is carbohydrate, protein, and fat. Of course, carbohydrate has an insulin spiking effect, but it matters, of course. 100 grams of sugar isn't going to have the same effect as 100 grams of broccoli. But we built the shake on a foundation of a 1-to-1 balance of protein to fat, because they together especially have little to no effect on insulin. And so while you are nourishing your body, so when you come out of an intermittent fast, for example, I'm always quick to say, more important than how long you fast is how you end it, how you break it. And so while insulin has come down, adrenaline has come up during the fast, help keep those hormones in that ratio to help it continue to boost your metabolism by focusing on protein and fat.
I'm fascinated at 27 grams of protein in those shakes. That's a lot. But so tell us about does it taste good? What is it sweetened with? Is it sweetened with, monk fruit? What's it sweetened with?
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it's totally natural sweeteners, which include stevia and monk fruit. And interestingly, a paper was just published this week in a very preeminent biomedical journal that scrutinized a whole battery of these non-nutritive sweeteners, and stevia was one of them. And it found that as opposed to several other more famous sweeteners, it had no effect on blood sugar levels later. Like, for example, sucralose, a common sweetener in a lot of these new soda pops. Sucralose does, in fact, have a glycemic effect, whereas stevia and monk fruit has none. That's why I selected them deliberately.
Interesting.
Where do you get those bags of your stuff?
Yeah. Please, everyone, go to a website called Get Health, HLTH, Get Health. There's no vowels in the health. No one has time for vowels these days. So Get Health,
You have to buy them.
HLTH.com.
You have to buy a vowel. That's good.
Yeah.
All right, let's put the information up on the screen.
Right there, you see it right there. It's Get Health. So again, it's GETHLTH.com. Dr. Benjamin Bikman. We always run out of time in these interviews. So interesting. So many great insights for us. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. You have a great day. We will be right back.